How's it going, guys? This is HRaul Gaming and these are my first impressions of Scavengers. Scavengers is a PvEVP battle royale game set in a post-apocalyptic setting. It is being developed by Midwinter Studios and currently is released in early access in the Epic Games Store and Steam. And having that out of the way, let's get into the video. So, Scavengers, is it good? Is it bad? Is it worth your time? Does it have enough for you to stop playing some of the heavy hitters in the gaming landscape, like Fortnite, Apex Legends, and Hunt Showdown? The answer to this question is not yet, but it's very close. The game is in early access right now, and things will change and improve over time. Gameplay. Scavengers is a survival battle royale game with PvE elements and character progression. However, Scavengers handle things quite differently from your typical battle royale game. It took me a while to figure out how Scavengers wants to be played. So it is a complicated game to describe, because unlike your typical battle royale game, where the main objective is to go and hunt down everyone else and be the last man standing, Scavengers doesn't want any of that. Scavengers wants to be played as a PvE game first and a PvP game second. Because while you do encounter players during the match, you will be killing PvE enemies way more often, because they are the primary source to collect data points. Scavengers wants you to instead to collect as many points as you can, and in the process you build up your character and get better gear in the early game, to be able to face other players at the end game, more or less like a MOBA will behave, some small skirmishes here and there, but the main fight is at the end. In Scavengers, you and your team spawn in a random location on the map and collect data points, and crafting resources by killing PvE enemies that range from humans, animals, and mutated creatures, and they can be found at the different areas on the map. These data points are your main objective. Whoever collects the most amount of points wins. And crafting resources are necessary to get better gear, better shields, better weapons, as well of keeping track of your energy and temperature meters. PvE enemies are varied enough, so the gameplay doesn't feel repetitive, by having different patterns and abilities. And when you're farming an area for points, another team may be going to the same location to get the same sweet loot you're after, or worse, to go after you and your points. And if you get killed, you lose the data points you may have collected during the game. So players have to decide if some battles are worth or not to take. Players are allowed to respawn as long as one teammate is alive. Scavengers is full of tension and adrenaline, and increases tenfold at the end game, for you need to head to the dropship and survive long enough to extract. The dropship arrives at the last 5 minutes of the match, and it leaves when the timer reaches 0. However, I would like it to be that only one team should be able to extract inside the dropship, instead of the dropship taking off regardless of how many teams are fighting in the ship when the timer reaches 0. Think about it as an overtime phase. There are 7 different heroes called explorers. The game gives you access to 3 heroes from the get-go, with a chance of unlocking the rest by gaining points after each match ends. And each one of them has a different ability and a signature weapon, and every signature weapon handles different from one another, and they can be crafted mid-game by collecting scraps. Unfortunately, this uniqueness doesn't transfer to the rest of the game. The guns in Scavengers, assault rifles, SMGs, shotguns, bows, and crossbows that can be found around the map, they all look the same, and none of them possess any unique characteristics or looks that sets them apart, to make me feel that I'm in a post-apocalyptic universe. And this problem also extends to the different locales on the map. Even when they're beautifully rendered, they all have the same looks. They don't have any distinctive geographical characteristic or unique structure to set them apart from one another, making it hard to know where in the map you are, and even harder when it comes to calling out enemy positions. Progression. I will not go too deep into it, since these are just my first impressions and I haven't got the chance to dig too deep into it, but what I can tell is that progression is tied to how much scrap you were able to loot in the match and the rewards you receive for winning. For then some of that scrap can be broken down into components used to research different things from weapons, gear, and even talents that can be equipped or crafted during the middle of the match, which can give you an advantage over other players. And this is the weakest part of the game, because the game does not do a good job explaining to the player what it is that they are supposed to be doing with the research tab, nor how to obtain the different unique items required to craft other items. And if you play Warframe, you may know what I'm talking about, and how painful it is to figure out without having to go and visit the wiki. And that's it, guys. These are my first impressions of Scavengers, a game that has a lot of potential and it has a lot to become one of the heavy hitters in the industry. And with a couple of touches in creativity in its gun design and locations, it can really become one of the top hitters in this genre. And having said that, please let me remind you guys to click that subscribe button with the notification bell so that you guys get notified every time one of my videos goes live. Let me remind you guys that I also do live streaming on twitch.tv/HRaulGaming every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 5 to 7 p.m. Pacific time, where I play a bunch of games, have fun with a bunch of different people, and say my opinion on the games. And I'll be seeing you on the next video. Váyalo.